Locho sampo pa gyo trashi pa tuche tempe tinle yarno da peghe drolor zampe se parche palde lam shabla solvade Omo a Guru Vajra Dara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Utta Vardhani Shri Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om a Guru Vajra Dara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Sumati Muni Shasane Karma Utta Vardhani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum. Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Lo Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Tudan Dagi Yi Teyerme Chiktu Chi Makyuke kudan dagi lo, makyuke sundan dagi na. Chikto jingi lo, Om Muni Muni, Maha Muni, Shakya Muni. Do the mantra of Namgyalma, facciamo il mantra di Namgyalma. Questa sei che presentando. O chaze deshin shebe tsutor taye nampra gewa chema male para jimba tepe Gyāve segi shinto tema Om Brum Soha Om Amrita Ayurdate Soha Om Brum Soha Om Amrita Ayurdate Soha Om Brum Soha Om Amrita Ayurdate Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Sarva Trilokya Prati Vishishtaya Buddhayate Nama Tayata Om Brum 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 Shodaya Shodaya Vishodaya Vishodaya Asama Samanta Avaba Sparana Gati Kagana Swabhava Vishuddhe Abhishinchantu Mam Sarva Tata Gata Sugata Varavachana Amrita Abhishekera Mahamudra Mantrapat Ahara Ahara Mama Ayu Sandarani Shodaya Shodaya Vishodaya Vishodaya Kagana Swabhava Vishuddhe Ushnisha Vijaya Parishuddhe Saharasra Rasmi Sanchodite Sarva Tatagata Avalokini Shatpara Paripurani Sarva Tatagata Mate Dasha Bhumi Pratishti Sarva Tatagata Hridaya Adishtana Adishtite Mudre Mudre Maham Vajrakaya Samatan Parishuddhe Sarva Karma Avarana Vishuddhe Pratinivartai Mama Ayur Vishuddhe Sarva Tata Samaya Adishtan Om Muni Muni Maha Vi Muni Vi Muni Maha Vi Muni Mati Mati Maha Mati Mamati Sumati Tatata Bhuta Koti Parishut Visputa Hudishut He He Jaya Jaya Vijaya Vijaya Smara Smara Spara Spara Sparaya Sparaya Sarva Buddha Adishtan Adishtite Shuddhe Shuddhe Buddhe Buddhe Vajre Vajre Maha Vajre Su Vajre Vajra Garbe Jaya Garbe Vijaya Garbe Vajra Jivala Garbe Vajro Bhave Vajra Sambhave Vajre Vajrini Vajram Bhavantu Mama Shariram Sarva Satanam Cha Kaya Parishuddhe Bhavantu Me Sada Sarva Gati Parishuddhisha Sarva Tata Gatasha Mam Sama Vasayantu Buddhaya Buddhaya Siddhaya Siddhaya Bodhaya Bodhaya Vibodhaya Vibodhaya Mochaya Mochaya Vimochaya Vimochaya Shodaya Shodaya Vishodaya Vishodaya Samantana Mochaya Mochaya Samantana Rasmi Parishuddhe Sarvatata Hidaya Adishtana Adishtite Mudre Mudre Maha Mudre Maha Mudra Man Adeso Omoya Namo Bhagavate Sarvate Lokya Prati Vishishtaya Buddhayate Nama Tayata Om Brum 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 Shodaya Shodaya Vishodaya Vishodaya Asama Samanta Avaba Sparana Gati Kagana Sobhava Vishuddhe Abhishinjantu Mam Sarvatata Gata Sugata Varavachana Amrita Abhishekera Mahamudra Mantrapade Ahara Ahara Mama Ayo Sandarani Shodaya Shodaya Vishodaya Vishodaya Kagana Swabhava Vishuddhe Ushnisha Vijaya Parishud Saharsra Rasmi Sanchodite Sarvatatagat Avalokini Shat Paramita Paripurani Sarvatata Gata Mate Dasha Bhumi Pratishtit Sarvatata Gata Hridaya Adishta Mudre Mudre Maha Mudre Vajrakaya Samatan Parishuddhe Sarva Karma Avarana Vishuddhe Prati Nivarataya Mama Ayur Vishuddhe Sarva Tata Gata Samaya Adishtana Adishtit Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Vi Muni Vi Muni Maha Vi Muni Mati Mati Maha Mamati Sumati Tatata Bhuta Koti Parishu Visputa Buddhishuddhe He He Jaya Jaya Vijaya Vijaya Smara Smara Spara Spara Sparaye Sparaye Sarva Buddha Adishtan Adishtite Shuddhe Shuddhe Buddhe Buddhe Vajre Vajre Maha Vajre Su Vajre Vajra Garbe Jaya Garbe Vijaya Garbe Vajra Jivala Garbe Vajro Bhave Vajra Sambhave Vajre Vajrini Vajram Bhavantu Mama Shariram Sarva Sattvanam Cha Kaya Parishuddhi Bhavantu Me Sada Sarva Gati Parishuddhisha Sarva Tathagata Sha Mam Samavasayantu Buddhaya Buddhaya Siddhaya Siddhya Bodhaya Bodhaya Vibodhaya Vibodhaya Mochaya Mochaya Vimochaya Vimocha Shodhaya Shodhaya Vishodhaya Vishodhaya Samanta Mochaya Mochaya Samanta Rasmi Parishud Sarva Tathagata Hridaya Adhishtana Adhishtite Mudre Mahamudra Soha Omoya Namo Bhagavate Sarva Trilokya Prativishtastai Buddhayate Nama Tayata Om Brum 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 Shodaya Shodaya Vishodaya Vishodaya Asama Samanta Avabas Parana Gati Kagana Sobhava Vishuddhe Abhishinchantu Mam Sarva Tathagat Sugata Vajra Vachana Amrita Abhishekera Mahamudra Mantrapat Ahara Ahara Mama Ayo Sandarani Shodaya Shodaya Vishodaya Kagana Sobhava Vishuddhe Ushnisha Vijaya Parishuddhe Sahasrasra Rasmi Sanchodit Sarva Tathagat Avalokini Shat Paramita Paripurani Sarva Tathagata Mate Dasha Bhumi Pratishtit Sarva Tathagata Hridaya Adhishtana Adhishtit Mudre Mudre Mahamudre Vajrakaya Samantana Parishuddhe Sarva Karma Avarana Vishuddhe Pratinivartai Mama Ayur Vishuddhe Sarva Tathagata Samaya Adhishtana Om Muni Muni Maha Vi Muni Maha Vi Muni Mati Mati Maha Mati Mamati Sumati Tatata Bhuta Koti Parishud Visputa Buddhishuddhe He He Jaya Jaya Vijaya Smara Smara Spara Spara Sparaye Sparaye Sarva Buddha Adhishtan Adhishtite Shuddhe Shuddhe Buddhe Buddhe Vajre Vajre Maha Vajre Su Vajre Vajra Garbe Jaya Garbe Vijaya Garbe Vajra Jivala Garbe Vajro Bhave Vajra Sambhave Vajre Vajrini Vajram Bhavantu Mama Shariram Sarva Satanam Cha Kaya Parishuddhe Bhavantu Me Sada Sarva Gati Parishuddhi Cha Sarva Tathagata Mam Sama Vasayantu Buddhaya Siddhaya Siddhaya Bodhaya Bodhaya Vibodhaya Vibodhaya Mochaya Mochaya Vimochaya Vimochaya Shodhaya Shodhaya Vishodhaya Vishodhaya Samantana Mochaya Mochaya Samanta Rasmi Parishud Sarva Tathagata Hridaya Adhishtana Adhishtite Mudre Mudre Mahamudra Mahamudra Mantra Pade Soha Om Brum Soha Om Amrita Yordate Soha Om Brum Soma Amrita Yordate Som Brum Soma Amrita Yordate Som Brum Soma Amrita Yordate Om Brum Somamrita Yodade Sombrum Somamrita Yodade Sombrum Somamrita Yodade Sombrum Somamrita Yodade Sombrum Somamrita Om Brum Somamrita Yodade Sombrum Somamrita Omo drum soha omo amrita ayurdate soha Gewadi nyurdo da nambar gelme drupkyurne drwa chigama lupa Te sala kupara sho jetson lame kutse rabtenchi Namkara trinle chochur gepada Lo santembe drumes Drove muse tatu ne gyurci Tumi cive tsema toana Te mela nambra gyalmeku Sewa tone cida pachum Nyurdo to parasho Sangye choda soge chonam la chanchu pardo dani Dagi jinso gibe sonam gi Drola pinchre sangye drupa Sangye chodan soge chonam la chanchu pardo dani Drola penchira sangye druparash Sangye chodan tsogi chonamla Chanchu bardo dani Druparash. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge into enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all saints. This morning we were looking at the part, first an introduction more again to the context when we are about the correct view of reality. And then we were looking at the fact that sensations lack inherent existence. Okay? And then the text continues about sensation. And once it has finished explaining how sensations are actually empty of inherent existence, it enters into the part which is, let's see, the causes of sensation. And the main cause of sensation is what we call contact. Contact, as we have seen also when we studied the 12 links of interdependence, contact brings sensation. What is contact? Contact is a union of three parts, which are the object of the sense, what we call the sense object, which is form, sound, taste, touch, and so on. For example, we have form, which is color and shapes. Then we have the sense power of, for example, the eye sense power, which is the physical eye. And then we have the eye consciousness, the eye sense consciousness that perceives it. So in order for us to have to perceive anything, we must go through contact. It's the union of these three things. So we saw this the day before. Yesterday morning we saw already a little bit about this, in which we were seeing that reality is we perceive reality through these three things together. So first there is an object, there is a sense power, there is a consciousness, and then when these three things get together, we experience the object, and by that we have a sensation. Now, whenever there is contact, there must be sensation. It can be a pleasurable sensation, unpleasurable sensation, or neutral sensation. Okay? So here is going to see how the sensation is, how this contact is empty of inherent existence. Actually, in the text, many parts, and this part here also, especially in this chapter, there is a lot of debate between the many philosophical schools. But I prefer now not to explain in a very academical way, entering into what is the school, what were their view, and so on, but try to explain in a more simple way that adapts better to our own mentality and our needs here right now. No? Otherwise, for example, Alexander Berzin that did this beautiful translation, it said that when he explained the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, the first 8 chapters took him 1 year, making every week on teaching. And then the 9th chapter took 3 years. Okay? So because if you go into a lot of details and you need to explain every philosophical school and so on, then it takes very long. But I think in our context, the best is just to try to use the text that is very precious to show how it can be more adapted to our own needs and understandings. Okay? Okay, then let's go to the text. Because we need to move a little bit also with the text, otherwise in 2 years we're still going to be here. Which is okay, it's not a problem, but still. Gyo rangshingi druba kakpa. Wangten treba rangshingi druba kakpas. Kalte wangten parche na teda kanto trebar gyur. Parme nayan chiknite kangshi kangdan trebar gyur. Duten la jukme teni kap me nyamba yins. Ma shuk pala dre me ching, ma tre pala treba me. Chame lang treba she, chawa chitar tebar gyur. Treba dangni chame par kalte tongna tempa ki. Namshe la treba rangshingi druba kakpa. Namshe lume pala ni, treba teba maini, tsokpa ngopo me chirte, ngarni. Jitar nam che shin. Tena sum treba le chungwe rekpa rangshingi madrubas. Teta rekpa yo mingna sorwa kang le chungar gyur. Ngaldi chi tuntu yin kangi kangla nöbar gyur. Kangse sorpo ga meching sorwang yoba mayimpa tetse nekab di tongne sepa chichir do mi gyur. Okay. Ok, leggo solo prima il testo in inglese e poi andiamo all'italiano. Verse 93. If there is a gap between a cognitive sensor and its object, cognitive sensor means, for example, the eye sense power, okay? If there is a gap between a cognitive sensor and its object, where could the meeting of the two occur? And if there is no gap, there would be a fused unity. So the meeting would be of what with what. Yet there can't be penetration of a particle by a particle. There is no empty space, and they are of uniform size. When there is no penetration, there is no commingling. And when there is no commingling, there is no meeting. Moreover, for something that's partless, how could that might be called a meeting? How could what might be called a meeting properly take place? Moreover, for something that's partless, how could what might be called a meeting properly take place? If a meeting and being partyless can be observed together, then show it, please. For a consciousness which is immaterial, a meeting is impossibility. That's so for a composite as well, because it doesn't truly exist and has been discerningly analyzed before. And so like that, when contact doesn't truly exist, from what does a feeling arise? For what reason then is there all this trouble? For whom and from what could injury come? Okay. As we go through this part of the text, it is showing us actually talking about the object of perception, no? The cause of, as I just said before, I think it is a part already said in English, no? The cause of sensation is contact, right? So we have, in contact is made out of 3 parts. We have the object, the sense object, the sensory power, the sense power,
and the sense consciousness. Okay? So, here now Shantideva goes one by one showing that it lacks inherent existence, starting by showing that the sense object lacks inherent existence. Then it goes to the sense power, and then it goes to the sense consciousness. Okay? So first of all, we are now seeing the part where it talks about the sense object. The text itself, it's talking about also one philosophical school that actually see phenomena as if they existed materially out of indivisible particles. Okay? And there is a whole discussion, which we're not going to go into that now, but a whole discussion of how do we actually perceive reality? How do actually the sense objects arrive to the sense power? Okay? For example, when I see something, what is actually arriving to my eyesight? The flower or the reflection of the light in my eyes? The flower is not touching my eyes, right? The same way I wear glasses, what I see 99% of the time, because I'm always with my glasses on, is nothing more, nothing less than the reflection of everything around me on my glasses. What I see is the glasses. No? If I had pink glasses, I would see everything pink. And I would think the world was pink. Okay? So in the same way, what arrives to me, what I see now, what I'm seeing right now is not you, it's the reflection upon the glass of the light that is in you. In the same way, for example, why when it's dark I cannot see? Because what I see is not the other person. What I see is the reflection of the light. Okay? So depending on the atmosphere, depending on so many factors, change what I see. Okay? So that's why what we see is not the object that arrives to the eye sense power is not the actual object, it's the light that reflects. And this is here a little bit discussing about this in the first verses here. The same thing is with sound. What arrives to me is the vibration of the air when a person speaks. But in the moment that I speak and the vibration that arrives to your ear is the same? No. It's similar, but it's not exactly the same. Then sure, it depends how well we know how to listen. It depends on so many other factors also, no? I had this experience not long ago that someone was saying something and then I listened to something that made totally no sense. And it was something quite stupid. And I listened to it and I said, no. Before having any reaction, I said to myself, I think I didn't listen well. And then I re-listened again with my mind, and then I understood what actually the person said. Okay? It's quite interesting because sometimes we can re-listen to things, we can make a rewind, play again. It's possible. And we will see that sometimes change the meaning. So one thing is also when we listen, what we understand, how we listen, it depends very much on the attention we put. It depends very much on the, as it said here, the sense consciousness. But here we are not yet at that point. We are at the point of the actual object. Okay? When we see the objects of perception, how do they appear to us? How do we see them? As if they something that they appear just as they are? Or we are aware that they are interdependent and that it depends on parts and they depend on imputation of the name and so on? Just as they are. But if we really look well, if we really analyze, can we see anything just as they are? Just as it is? Not really. Okay. We live in a world where philosophically, most of the times we live where we have two different mainstreams of philosophical views. One mainstream is from the monotheistic religions, mostly. And another mainstream is from the scientific, materialistic view. And actually, even the most common view, so-called scientific, is not even that much scientific very often. It's just like a common materialistic view very often. one view, this is normally when you talk about wrong views of reality, is divided into two parts. We have what is called eternalistic view and nihilistic view, or eternalism and nihilism. Okay? The eternalistic view is the view that see phenomena as if they existed just as they appear, externally. Nothing depends on me. If things are there, I am here, I have nothing to do with it. The nihilistic view simply thinks that nothing else exists, only my mind. Everything is just a creation of my mind. Okay? We shouldn't go to one or to the other. So the one that is most present in our lives is the eternalistic view. One is so from a religious point of view, in which is said everything that we experience and that is there is a creation of someone. Normally we call it God. That sometimes people ask me, do you believe in God? Then I make the question, tell me what God is, then I can tell you if I believe or not, Because it's quite a complex question. Okay? But normally the answer is no. But it depends very much what you understand by God. Because if you understand that God is something that is everywhere, in everything, that makes everything possible, and so on, the only thing that fits in that description for me is interdependence. And then I believe in interdependence. If you tell me there is someone that has an identity and is the all-powerful one, almighty, that do everything, judge everything, then I'm sorry. I don't follow in this idea. It doesn't fit in my mind. But anyhow, this is just extra. One view is the view that someone has created things, and what happens out of that view? I have nothing to do with everything else. I am just an observer. So, if things go in one way, if things go in another, it's because someone has judged me, it's because someone has done a decision. Who have created a flower? Someone did the flower. I have nothing to do with the reality of the flower. I have nothing to do really with the existence of the flower. I'm just here to observe it. And even there is a view I need to be thankful because I can use all of this that was created for me. Okay? And I have nothing to do with the actual existence of things. The scientific, so-called, more materialistic view is the view that we are simple observers of everything. And it's a view that actually says that consciousness is a result of materia. Okay? Which is slowly the cells have developed, blah, 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 blah. And then suddenly there were neurons and there was a brain. And then after that, consciousness developed. So there is this very strong view in which says that consciousness cannot exist without materia. Okay? And this is, for example, one of the strong oppositions to theories of telepathy and all these type of things. Why? Because how can a mind function and exist without materia? That's not possible. The mind is nothing more, nothing less than the result of the impulses in the brain and so on. So this is one view. Then there is another view also today in science. For example, I have read some books talking about the quantum science, quantum physics. And it says then there is a different view which is saying that actually materia is a product of consciousness and not the other way around. It's saying that, let's say, if we need to go to look what is in the basis behind everything, it's consciousness. It's consciousness that creates everything else. It's from consciousness that arises the rest. It's quite complex, the whole thing. Okay? But the point is that these two views in which everything exists and I am simply an observer, I have nothing to do with the actual reality of things, it brings us this idea that to see things in a very solid way. What I see is what exists. What I listen is what exists. How come this exists? Because I can see it. I can touch it. Even, for example, very often, how do we need to prove something? The existence of something? By making tests which we use our five senses to perceive. You can see, I can see, it exists. Okay? One thing that for a long time science haven't taken into consideration, and nowadays it's taking quite often into consideration, but it's a big problem actually, is that the observer changed the result of the test. Which is quite obvious actually. But it's quite complex also at the same time. So what is this showing to us? That actually our experience of reality is not as solid as it appears. Because actually, what I am seeing is not what is out there. Yes, from one side, conventionally speaking, yes. Conventionally speaking, I am seeing you, you are seeing me. Okay? We look at each other, we can touch each other, we can listen to each other. Okay? If we like, we can smell or taste each other, but I don't think that's the case. But all the 5 senses work, okay? We can think about each other, our 6 senses. So conventionally speaking, we exist. Okay? And I can perceive you, you can perceive me, and so on. If we analyze clearly, we will actually understand that what I am seeing is nothing more than the reflection of the object, the sense power, and my own consciousness. It's more or less like, imagine there is a camera, okay, that is taking the images. Like, for example, we have the camera there, right? And then she can see the image in the computer, in the screen. What she sees in the screen, or what people at home see in the screen, is not what the camera is seeing. What arrives in the camera is the light. What is in the screen is only a representation of what arrives in the camera. Right? If I go in the representation and I exchange the red pixels for yellow, I will see everything differently. You know? It's like if the television is, for example, very often happens, people are worried to go in television because they look more fat. Why? Because it's never perfectly the scale, you know, it's not perfect. Sometimes the television squeezes a little bit and then you look a little bit more fat, depending on the TV. This is what happens most of the time. No, because what I'm seeing in the television is not what is appearing in the lenses of the camera. It's a representation of that. Okay? Similar to when you listen something from the microphone, what comes out of the sound box is not what has come out of my mind. It's of the mouth of the one who's speaking. It's a representation of that sound. Okay?
Do you think we can trick our minds in a way that if we see something where we can trick it and see the way we want to see or hear it the way we want to hear it? Or is it something from the way you were brought up or the things that you've listened?
All of this comes together, you know. It's possible that we have a very strong influence from our own background. And then sometimes, if we are very much in one direction, we can even see what we want. We can listen to what we want. It's not something intellectual. It's not something conceptual, but it's possible also that. Because what happened is that basically what appears to my mind, it's like, imagine that everything that we perceive, the touch, the taste, it's actually happening. What we can perceive is what is appearing in our brain, basically, in our mind. Okay? So, in between our mind, our own perception, and the world around us, there is a whole lot of stuff in between. So when I look at the flowers, conventionally speaking, yes, the flowers are there. I can taste, I can touch, I can smell. I don't think I can listen to the flowers, but okay? The flowers are there. But when I go to analyze it, the flowers do not exist in the way how they appear. Because they appear to me as being something solid in the way how it is. And actually, when we go to analyze, we see that it's not like that. Even at the same time, the flowers only exist because when I go to look, what appears to my eye? It appears the reflection of light. Of what? Of the flowers. So the flowers appear to my eyes or not? Conventionally speaking, we say yes. So what are the flowers? The flowers, nothing more, nothing less than imputation of the name called flower based on the parts. And another aspect which is quite interesting, there are different studies that says that even from our senses we are not able to see or to perceive from our five senses, for example, to see, we are not able to see what our mind cannot perceive. For example, it is said that when the first ships went to South America, South and Central America, the natives there, it took a long time for them before they could see the ships. Because they never ever expected the existence of something like that. So for a long time, they would see something moving, and maybe it was like just, but they would never have the idea that's people coming, so they never saw the ship. Maybe they saw something little different, whatever, but never saw a ship. So this is also saying that even the object of perception, it exists also based on the imputation of the name. We are not able to see, we are not able to listen to what we don't have a concept. Okay, it's quite complex to think. When we really go deep into it, it becomes quite complex. Even, for example, when we listen, there are sounds that if we are not used, we cannot understand. That's why, for example, it's said that a person to learn many languages, especially languages with different sounds, should listen to these languages in the first years of life, in the moments that the brain is still developing. Because in that way, later, when you go to learn that language, you can listen to the sounds. When you develop the ability of listening, when we are a baby, actually, if we listen to different sounds, after we can still listen to that sounds. Otherwise, people say something, we cannot even listen to that sound. Like, for some people, when they say the Tibetan alphabet, they cannot listen the difference between tsa, tsa, and tsa. Or between ka, ka, and ka. Okay? Why? Because we are not used to it. So, the sound is coming, but we cannot, for us, it's the same. Okay? So, when we actually look at this, when we observe this, even the object, the sensory object, it is also empty of inherent existence. It doesn't exist as it appears to us in such solid way. Okay? Is it clear? No? So, in one way, it's like, as it's said very often in the teachings, when we don't analyze and we just perceive the world, everything exists in a conventional way. We can listen, we can talk, everything is fine. But if we start to observe it, if we start to analyze it, are things really in the way they appear? Then we will see that it's not like that. Even from the very simple fact that what I see, what I listen, what I taste, what I smell, what I touch, all of this happens through many filters. So when 2 people are in the same place, or 10 people, or 100 people are in the same place, they are experiencing 100 things different. They are seeing 100 things different. We are looking, conventionally we are seeing the same thing. But if we really analyze, it's a different experience for each and every one of them. Okay? Sometimes this becomes very clear, no? So, the fact that sometimes it's possible for us to induce ourselves to listen to something or to see something. And also, as I was saying before, I had, some months ago, I had experience that I was listening to someone, and then the person said something completely strange and a bit offensive. And I was thinking, strange that the person is saying this. So before having any reaction, I said, okay, I need to re-listen again. So it's interesting that we can rewind with our mind and listen again. It's possible. It's like, okay, what did he say? And then you remember the sound, then you can listen again, and then, oh, now I understood. This was what this person said. And then it makes sense. Okay? But the point that I want to bring is that even what we listen in the daily life is not perfectly what arrives. Okay? And then there is the other whole part of things that arrive to our senses and when we are not conscious about, which is called in Tibetan Nangla Mangeba, which means that appears but you cannot grasp at it. Like, for example, when you have a movie, if something is just put on one frame, each 10 frames there is an image, you cannot see it. This was done in the beginning. Coca-Cola used a lot of that to make publicity. Okay? And you get the meaning. That's the interesting thing. But you don't know. Okay? Kubrick used to do that in his movies. Yeah. Stanley Kubrick. For example, there is one of his movies that ends up with the scene of a man in electric chair. Okay? And this scene has always shocked very much people. The scene is quite simple actually, but the sensation that it brings is something that you really feel uncomfortable. Okay? And you don't know really why. Because the scene itself is nothing so terrible is happening. What did he do? He overimposed an image of an skeleton on top of the person, and he put in a subliminary way. So actually you are seeing a skeleton, but you don't know. So it goes from another door, enters in your mind. So there is a reaction of fear, and you don't know why, So he was playing with this. Actually, nowadays it's not allowed to do these things by law. We don't know if anybody uses it still, but originally it's like this. Anyhow, this is the point that we bring is the fact that what we see is not what we see. What we listen is not what is there. In the sense that it's not that everything is an invention of our mind, but reality is not as solid as it appears to be. Okay? Which is actually something quite good in a way. It depends on who you are, on our own mind. But this means that it's possible to change experience of reality. This means, as many teachings says, a pure land is not the place where you go, it's the way how you live the place. Samsara is not a place, it's an experience. It's a matter if you are completely overtaken by anger and jealousy and pride and ignorance and so on, you are in samsara. If not, you are in paradise. But even the way how you see things, that's why it said that a Buddha, everything that appears to his eyes is pure. Everything that he's listening is beautiful. Because his senses, his mind is totally different. But the important thing that we need to understand here, first step, because all these are quite complex arguments. And we can go on debating on it for a long time. Okay? But the specific point right now is that the object of the senses does not exist as solid as it appears to be. Because when we look at things and we listen and so on, how do we relate to it? As simply as if it existed like that. I have nothing to do. That's a flower. I have nothing to do. That's the word that you said. Okay? That's the touch that I felt. That's the taste that it has. And we never take into consideration that this is not the touch that this is not the taste of the water. This is the taste that I feel of the water. This is not the sound that you are saying. This is what I am understanding of what you said. This is not the touch of the cloth. This is the touch that I perceive. Can we see the difference? Okay. That's why personally I try to change in my vocabulary. I never say, oh, this is what you said. This is what I listened. This is what I heard. What I understood. What you said, I have no idea. But I listened to this. Maybe it was right. Maybe it was wrong. This is what I see. I don't know what it is really, but that's what I can see. Okay? If we, even in the way how we speak, we change a little bit, this helps a lot also. Okay? For example, in Tibetan, when we do the debating and so on, you never say, I saw the flower. You see, I've seen the form of the flower. You never say you listen to the bird. I listen to the sound of the bird that appeared. But especially with a full form. You never say, I see the glass. I see the form of the glass. and I see what appears to me. So this is, slowly changing this view. That's what is the point here now. Ok, so we move on. Quindi, in conclusione, è il fatto che non è che, come si può dire, quello che io vedo non è quello che c'è. Non è che io sto vedendo il fiore. Quello che io percepisco è quello che io vedo e non quello che c'è. In altre parole, noi abbiamo la tendenza di dire quello che vedo è quello che c'è, punto e basta. È così come ho visto, è così la realtà. No? È anche un po' sconvolgente spesso per qualcuno il fatto che la realtà non sia così solida come ci sembra. Perché c'è il pericolo di cadere nel nichilismo, quindi nulla esiste, che non è il caso. Ma il fatto che la realtà esterna esiste a livello convenzionale, il fiore c'è, io ci sono, tu ci sei, ci possiamo parlare, ascoltare, vedere, toccare. Con tutti i 6 sensi ci possiamo relazionare. Quindi a livello convenzionale, possiamo tutti qua venire e mettere le mani insieme al fiore, se ci stanno. Però a livello convenzionale ci troviamo tutti nella stessa stanza. Se qualcuno dice non è vero, non siamo nella stessa stanza, ma che? Perché c'è un divisore in mezzo, no? È chiaro che siamo nella stessa stanza, ma a livello analitico, se si va a analizzare, è la stessa stanza che ognuno di noi percepisce o no? Per uno è grande, per l'altro è piccolo, uno lo vede in un modo, l'altro lo vede in un altro, a uno piace, 1000 fattori che la fanno diversa. Quindi il punto d'arrivo su questo è che quando io vedo, quando io sento, quando io tocco, quando io ho un gusto, eccetera, eccetera, io non sto vedendo quello che è, io sto vedendo quello che vedo, quello che appare a me. Io sto ascoltando quello che io riesco ad ascoltare, non quello che l'altro ha detto. Quindi per esempio io nel mio vocabolario ho fatto il modo di cambiare, invece di dire tu hai detto, dire io così ho sentito. Invece di dire quello è così, questo è quello che io ho visto. Poi può essere diverso, posso non aver visto bene, posso non aver visto un aspetto piuttosto che un altro. Quante volte non ci è capitato di vedere una cosa e dopo accorgerci che non era veramente quello che non avevamo visto bene? Quante volte che non abbiamo sentito una cosa e poi ci siamo accorti che non era veramente quello che abbiamo sentito male? Perciò è il fatto di capire che quando noi ci colleghiamo, ci connettiamo con il mondo intorno a noi, in realtà quello che arriva a noi è pieno di filtri, ma che non esiste neanche indipendentemente da questi filtri poi. Perciò cercare di capire che la realtà non è così solida come appare a noi. E quindi c'è un livello anche di interpretazione anche, ma non solo quello. La bellezza di questo, la realtà non essendo solida, in realtà è molto bella. Perché? Perché ci fa capire che la soluzione non si trova nel cambiare il mondo, ma nel cambiare il modo come noi ci poniamo al mondo. È questo. Anche quando si parla del samsara, in quanto ciclo di sofferenza, non è fuori, ma è nel ciclo di rabbia, gelosia, invidia, arroganza, ignoranza, eccetera. Se io elimino queste cose, io sono nel nirvana, sono nel paradiso ovunque mi trovo. Quindi è importante anche capire che il punto di adesso più che altro è anche l'oggetto sensoriale non esiste così a livello solido come ci appare, anche questo è vuoto di esistenza intrinseca. Ok? Andiamo avanti. Teta rekpa yomina tsorwa kanle chungwar gyur. Ngaldi chi tuntuin kange kongla nöbar gyur. Kangtse tsorbo game chin tsorwang yoba mayimba tena nekab di tongne sepa chichir do mi gyur. Migyu rangshingi druba meba tongwa angni rekpa yang milam gyudra dani gi sorwe yulchen rangshingi druba kakpa tongwa angni rekpa yang milam gyundra dani ki semdan lenchik kiebechir sorwa tei tongmain ngardan chimar kiebekyang drembar gyurgi nyongmain rangi dani nyomingla shenda gikyang nyongmain sorpo gayang yomingte tena sorwa teni ming tetar dakme tsokdila tei chite nöbar gyur. Okay, verse 99. I think it's this, right? No, 98, sorry. And when there is no truly existent one that feels, and feeling as well doesn't truly exist, then seeing this situation all craving, why don't you turn yourself back? Which means, and when there is no truly existent one that feels, the one that experiences, the one that is having the feeling, which means us, the self, that doesn't truly exist. It's only exists in the basis of the imputation of the name on the basis of its parts. Okay? So it doesn't exist as solid as it appears. And also the feeling as well doesn't truly exist. Seeing the situation, all craving, attachment, why don't you turn yourself back? Who is being attached for what, when none of this actually exists as it appears? Nevertheless, something can be seen and also be touched. Though it's having a nature similar to a dream or an illusion. So nevertheless, something can be seen and also can be touched. But it can be in this way, it is actually having a nature similar to a dream or an illusion. Further, a feeling cannot be perceived by a mind from arising simultaneously with it. Further, a feeling cannot be perceived by a mind from arising simultaneously with it. And though a previous one can be remembered by one that arises later, it can be experienced by it. In short, a feeling can be experienced. In short, a feeling can't experience its own self, and it can be experienced by something else. As there is no truly existent one that feels, then feeling cannot exist absolutely. So, in this bundle that lacks a true self, who can be injured by it? Okay. We go together with the verses. So we are in verse number 98. And when there is no truly existent one that feels, and feeling as well doesn't truly exist, then seeing the situation all craving, why don't you turn yourself back? When there is no truly existent self, and there is no truly existent sensation, why there should be attachment? Because when we feel attachment, okay, what is the attachment? Who is feeling attachment? How do we experience it? Who is feeling attachment? I'm feeling attachment for whom? For an interdependent existence, person, etc. I'm feeling attachment for someone that is like this, in a very solid way. In an inherent way, solid way. So this self doesn't exist. And the sensation of pleasure, which is the sensation of pleasure to which I am attached? a sensation of pleasure that is interdependent and so on, or simply a sensation of pleasure that exists in an autonomous, inherent way. An inherently existent sensation of pleasure. That's to what we are attached. So if both of them actually do not exist, what am I attached to? Okay? And the point here is basically that when we really analyze, okay, if we are able to perceive, if we are able to understand, to feel that both ourselves and the objects of perception actually, and our sensations lack inherent existence, we will see that our object of attachment actually doesn't exist, and naturally it will fall apart. For example, this I didn't say in Italian, but okay. Let's say we go to a shop and we see something that we like. Okay? We see whatever. I don't know. We see we're in a shop of clothes, the example that I always gave. You see a jacket. Okay? You look at the jacket, you say, oh, what a beautiful jacket. I really like it. I would like so much to have it. No, I don't want to have it. I need it. Because I need to go to that party, there is a marriage ceremony, and I don't have a nice jacket because I have already that other part of the trouser and it's not fitting so well. This jacket is much better. Oh, how beautiful it is. Look, the touch, how nice it is. Oh, it's a bit expensive, but okay, no problem. I will find a way out. You know, and we are there flirting with the jacket. Okay? And then suddenly, as we are there, and we are imagining when we put the jacket on and the person that we want to show that we have, show off with the jacket and so on. And then as we are doing that, appears that person in the shop. That friend of ours that we want to show how beautiful we are with the jacket. We want to attract. And that friend comes by, oh, hello, how are you? Oh, yes, very good. And the person comes by the jacket, look at it and say, oh, what an ugly thing. How terrible. How can someone have the courage to use something like that? It's really awful. I don't know, some people are so stupid to buy things like this, you know. Oh, really? I don't know how people can be conditioned by simply because there is a name there where things that are so ugly like this. I really don't understand. I really hate people like that. Okay? Then the person says, okay, goodbye, I need to go. And then are we and the jacket. Is it the same jacket or it has changed? Are we still going to buy it? Most probably not. Okay? If the jacket existed inherently as a beautiful object, it would have never changed. If we existed inherently, we will also not have changed. So we will continue to like the jacket. But because we are interdependent, the jacket is interdependent, the attachment is interdependent, everything, it's constantly changing and moving. So nothing is solid as it appears. So in the moment that I have desire for something, but I understand that that object of desire actually lacks inherent existence, there is no more a solid basis for desire to stand on.
How does Buddhism deal with passion? Like, everybody falls in love with somebody, and there's this moment of 6 months, let's say, that passion.
Okay.
It is there, and and you cannot think rationally. It's there. It's
Yes.
not a jacket, it's actually a person.
Yes.
You're going to live the rest of your life there. Sorry.
Depends. No problem. What happens is like this. First of all, there is a very strong connection always between body and mind. Okay? And when we feel attraction to anything, a person, a place, an idea, an object, okay? Very often, in order for us to feel such attraction, we need to have the causes first, the connections. Okay? So it's like having the seeds. And then suddenly when we put the water, flower come up. And when it starts growing, we cannot stop it really. Okay? So it's like we have already the connection from many different reasons. It can be karmic from previous lives, it can be mentally, conceptual, it can be in so many ways. And in the moment that actually we put some water in it and it starts to grow, it makes us to develop some types of feeling. It can be attraction, it can be aversion, depending on the type of situation. But let's talk about attraction. Okay? This strong feeling of attraction, this strong feeling of desire that we may have, the main problem of it is when actually we lose completely the ability of understanding things, where actually we are not anymore acting but simply reacting. Okay? At the same time, we cannot live a life that is completely mental. We also need to give space for our feelings. We also need to give space for our emotions. Actually, for me, the best definition that I found until now for renunciation is to feel in love for enlightenment. I think this feeling of passion, it's something so important actually. Like in Tantra, it's talking about is the path to transform passion into the path of enlightenment. The only difference is you change. Instead of being a person, you put enlightenment there. Okay? It depends, where do I direct this energy of passion? Okay? The important thing that we need to be aware is that when we have such passion for anything, okay, very often our mind is blinded. That's how to say. It's like in the middle of fog. It's foggy in the sense that we don't see so much, we don't understand so much. So we may take decisions, we may do things that later we will see that maybe were not really the best things to do. So what I believe personally is that if we have a passion that brings a good feeling, okay, it's okay, but we need to be careful before really following it completely. We need to keep it a little bit there. Watch it. When we see that, okay, it brings things good, there is no harm happening, it's something that I can follow, then we can follow it. It's wonderful. But we need to be careful in the sense of, I explain better. When we have a strong passion, we want immediate satisfaction. Okay? So when we are looking for immediate satisfaction, we have no concerns about the cost of it. And very often, after when we need to pay the bill, the pleasure is gone. And there we are paying the bill for it, you know. It's like, I want so much to go for a vacation, and this is the most beautiful, wonderful vacation. So I go and I make a big debt of $2 million to go for a beautiful vacation. And then after there am I for another 25 years paying the debt. And what I have of the vacation? Pictures and memories. Okay? So, nothing wrong about having a vacation. But we shouldn't make a big debt for that. No? So the point is that when we have this, actually the energy itself of passion, it's not bad or good. It depends where we direct it. For example, it's very common in the beginning when we get in touch with the spiritual path to feel passion. And Rinpoche, very often he talks about not losing the taste, which means also not losing the passion. But where shall we direct? Even when we look, there are images in Vajrayana Buddhism like Vajrayogini, Heruka, and so many others. They are showing passion. But what do they show us? Where do we have passion normally? We have passion towards where we project our own happiness. We believe that that will make us happy. So what it's showing us is that actually, if we direct our passion, this strong energy that we have, into enlightenment, this is the strongest way that we can be. We go much faster than anywhere, any other way. If we use the energy of passion, also the energy of anger and destruction actually, if we use these two energies in the right way, it brings us much more benefit and we go much faster than if we try to eliminate these two energies. Okay? So the energy itself of the passion and so on is not a problem. What we need to be careful is on what we put our passion. And we need to be careful at the same time that in the moment that we feel a strong passion and we had not really thought really much about it, because it's something that causes and conditions came out, and suddenly there I am with such strong attachment and desire and passion for someone. Okay. The question is, this sensation is normally will be to make our mind more foggy. There is even the technical explanation about why it happens and so on. But the point is that exactly because of that, if we want to do something that will work in a long term, we should not follow it 100% right away. We should put a little bit break, or a little observe it. Even that's why also I believe that when we talk about relationships, I believe that when there is passion and right away the passion is completely fulfilled, it doesn't last for long. Okay. When there is passion and it comes a little bit drop by drop, the fulfillment, it transforms gradually into something that lasts much longer. Okay. So actually this idea that we have nowadays, even from the point of view sexually and so on, of I need something, I must have it right away, it's a total illusion. Because when there is something that I want so much, but I cannot have it right away, the pleasure actually is much longer. Because gradually it transforms into a different feeling. It transforms into something that can last much longer. Because the problem is that in the nature of desire is insatisfaction. So if I go right away to get what I want, I will get right away insatisfaction. And then what comes after that? We get disappointed. And then comes aversion. Because we project too much. The other problem of passion is that when we have the strongest is the passion, the strongest is the projection of happiness that we put on our object of passion. And I think it's quite heavy for someone to put upon him your own happiness. No? I think, okay, someone come and say, oh, you are my happiness of my life. Oh, please, no. No, you are responsible for our happiness. Don't come to put that on my shoulders, no? So, we need to be careful in these aspects, because if we have a passion that is very strong and we follow it completely without any real taking care of the direction, we may end up in a big disappointment. For that reason, it's important for us to put a little break. It doesn't mean that we need to block our passion. But at the same time, we need to make it last long. This is also important. But also the passion in the same way and the object of passion lack inherent existence. So actually, even there, if we actually start to observe and we actually understand, we will see that, it's quite simple actually to take away the whole, magic that is around passion. If we start really to observe causes and conditions, what happened, how come, because of this, because of that, it's quite simple actually. But we don't have this type of awareness and we don't need to follow in that way. But if passion is well directed, it's good. It's like one time I had a friend. He came to the monastery, was a disciple, a friend, and he came there and he was there for a long time, many months. And when he arrived, he came to me one of the first days. We were sitting at the table having dinner. And then he looked at me and he said, I have a problem. I said, what? He said, I don't know if what I feel for you is love or faith, of respect, or if I fell in love with you. Then I said to him, look, what it is, it really doesn't matter now. The important thing is that we give a good use for it. Okay? So you came here because you said you wanted to serve me. You are in the monastery. Okay, so let's make a good use of this attraction. Because sometimes we try to give name to things, and I'm not really so sure. We try to put things into little boxes. And when we put them in the box, they fit, and then they take the shape of that box. But that's not the original shape, really, you know. So sometimes we simply don't need to give name to things. We have an attraction. The important thing is to use that energy in order to generate something positive. That's the important thing. Because it's normal for us, in the moment we have attraction to someone, we are going to put that attraction into the box of one of the experiences that we have had until now. But maybe it's completely different. This is one of the problems that happens very often with the relation to the guru, for example. We have attraction. I have attraction to my guru. Then you come and you put, okay, I have attraction to a person. Is he my friend? No. He's not a friend with whom I go out. I never go out, but if I would. Is he my family member? No. Is he my lover? No. So in which box can I put? Because I don't have any other left, you know. The guru, we need to create. But the problem is that in our culture, we don't have that box. We didn't grow up with the guru of our parents, no? So slowly, we need to create this box, and we don't know well so much how it is. Then we mix a little bit of the other boxes, you know? We see a little bit of the father, we see a little bit of the mother, we see a little bit of the lover, of the friend, which in a way it's okay. And slowly, it's part of our practice to make this box clear. So, this is what I want to say, is the fact that when we have an attraction, we need to direct it well. You know? And sometimes, we give too much names to things. We want to put things too much into a little box. And when we don't put things into the box and we simply flow with the energy of what is happening, you know, we have a positive feeling, let's use it well, you know, and it's okay. This is also important, also with regard to passion, you know. I can feel passion to someone, and if I use that positively, it can be very good. I have a good feeling, you have a good feeling, that's wonderful. But the important thing is what we do with that, which direction we go. What's the actions that we do? What's the result that it brings? That's where the difference comes. Okay, so now what do we do? I think we will continue this last part of the text tomorrow, as we have no problem. I can remember this explanation. This is very simple. But the conclusion here is about desire, about passion, is that we don't need to block our desire, we don't need to block our passion, because this is harmful to us. You know, if we block too much, what happens one day, when we do not expect, it explodes. It's not a way. We shouldn't block. But we should not satisfy each and every desire we have simply because we want something. You know? In the society where we live nowadays, there is a big problem. That is, the question that we put is not if I need or if it's of benefit, is if I want or if I don't want. So we need to change this. And before going for something, it can be a person, it can be a situation, it can be an object. The question is, does it bring benefit? Does it not bring benefit? Is there any need for it or not? If I don't want, but there is benefit on it, I should go. If I want, but there is no benefit, instead there is harm, then I shouldn't go. So, it makes a big change, but since we are children, you know, nowadays what happens to children, Mom, I want this, yes, sure, because you want it becomes like almost a law. I need something, I must have. I want something, I must have it. This is very important for us to change with ourselves. You know, like when I grew up in the monastery, in India, the monastery, it was very clear. You never listen to someone saying, I want. Because I want meant nothing. If you go say, I want this, and they would answer, so what? I want this, and so what that you want? And then what? I need it. Ah, okay. How come? For this, for that. Okay, then yes. You know, there's a benefit in it. Like even I have seen with Rinpoche. Rinpoche has sometimes he can spend money that even he doesn't have, in the sense that it's not like he has a big amount. Rinpoche never ever accumulated money. The same way it comes, it goes. The same amount that comes constantly goes. Always for positive things. I have seen Rinpoche like paying 10 times the price of something. I remember one time we were in India. Came a Tibetan guy there. Rinpoche was paying 10 times the value of what it had. And people were going around, Rinpoche, what are you doing? He's cheating on you. And Rinpoche said, no, you don't say anything. Okay. He was buying. And he was making believe that he was actually believing in what the guy was saying, and he was paying for it. But finally, what did he do? He managed to hook him. Then the person started to become a friend, start to have some attraction towards Rinpoche. From that, have attraction to the Dharma, and he's able to guide and help him, create a connection. So what happened, Rinpoche saw a benefit in using money for that. So for Rinpoche, I've seen very clear, whenever Rinpoche sees a benefit in something, he can spend any amount that he has, that is available in the world. I've seen Rinpoche sometimes even without any pocket money, which means even Rinpoche doesn't have any money in bank accumulated. He's unable. Even one time someone came to Rinpoche and said, Rinpoche, I want to give you a big amount of money so that you can put in the bank, and then every month you have some money that comes to you so you can be assured that your needs are covered. I don't know, it was something that was giving every month something like 1,500 euros, something like that. Then Rinpoche was saying, so this person calculated, so I said, I will put this amount in the bank I offer to you, so you have your fixed money every month. And Rinpoche said, if you like to give me something that I can use, thank you. Otherwise, I cannot have this commitment that I will keep one money just like that there. You know, money is energy I need to use, I need to make offerings to the monasteries, I need to do all of that. And my own life, whatever, that's not my problem. Rinpoche have lived for so many years with nothing very happily. He can continue to do that. That's not a problem, So, the point is that there's not a problem in spending money, in buying things, in having people, in having relation. That's not a problem. The problem becomes when we just do things because we want them and not because there is a benefit in it. So the main question is, what's the benefit? What's the use? If we see that there is more benefit than harm, if we see that there is no harm, there is benefit, sometimes there is some harm, but there is more benefit than harm, then okay. Instead, if we see there is more harm than benefit, then better not. So, not to fulfill every desire. That's just because we want something. This is also an important aspect, okay? But now, we'll conclude here. Tomorrow we continue the part regarding inherent existence. But the point is that even our objects of desire and the desire itself is all empty of inherent existence. But when we have a strong desire, how do we see our object of desire? As being interdependent, or is inherently existent as an object of desire that will make me happy? And if someone comes to me and say, oh, this is not going to make you happy. Oh, you shut up, you don't know anything. But in the moment that we have an object of desire, if we understand that it lacks inherent existence, the desire doesn't have any more where to stand. It's lost. Then it's not anymore an object of desire. It's something to which we can relate in a more free way. We are free to choose. The problem when we have a strong desire is that we are not anymore free to choose because we are totally conditioned by it. That's the main thing. Okay? So I think I would check later with Rinpoche the program of tomorrow. Because these days Rinpoche has been a little bit every day making the program, by day. But I suppose that we will have teachings on Bodhisattva Charyavatara in the morning, and then initiation with Rinpoche in the afternoon. I will check this with him, but I suppose it's like this, okay? Jetsun lame kotse raptenchi namkar trile cholchur gepada losan tempe drome sasongi drove munsel tatu negur nimo dele sendele nime kuyan dele sumge jingelo concha sumge nodrup sol
Concho sumge trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspicion.